Hey, my Legion, how y'all doing today? It is I, Jason Callan, in probably the most famous room in YouTube history. And it's just like a little small dinky room that's, when my niece and nephew were growing up and they used to stay over here all the time, they stay in here now. It's kind of like my production studio, or just my little studio backdrop, I guess, when I'm not out in the kitchen or on the back porch or on the front porch. Anyways, I'm here with a late night movie review, a horror movie review. Actually, I'm reviewing two movies. The first one is, and the main one is, Strangler of the Swamp. Right here. Now, this is, I'll be honest, I know a lot about old movies and stuff, and new movies to an extent. Uh, I never heard of this movie until Tuesday. And this is one of the movies that, if you saw my live DVD show and tell, this one guy from work was giving stuff away, and I wasn't the one to get first crack at everything. There was a whole bunch already gone. I had to wait till I was on break and stuff like that. I couldn't leave my press, but I did get this, and this was I never heard of this. Must have been a rarely released movie, and sometimes you see like a movie like first time on DVD or something like that. This must be like this. This one right here. It was made in 1946 by PRC Pictures, one of the Poverty Row production companies, along with Monogram, Astor, Grand National, and if you remember Lone Star Productions, they used to do the old John Wayne movies before he got famous, the real low budget ones. And there might be some other Poverty Row ones back in the 30s, 40s, and very early 50s, before you see like American International stuff and like companies like that. Well, anyways, this is about the ferryman. And the ferryman is someone who brings people back and forth across the swamp. And if you remember in the 80s, they had a popular song called Don't Pay the Ferryman, which is a really cool song. I got to check that out. I bet you it's on YouTube. I got to check it out. Well, anyways, this one ferryman that was killed for a murder he didn't commit. And he was hanged by street justice. And this one guy who won his job testified that he did the deed, and then the townspeople went and they hanged him. And before they hanged him, he said that he will come back and kill all the members who convicted him, all their family members and stuff like that. And this is all backstory. You never saw this happen in the movie. They all explained it. And he's a ghost, and he comes back in like a blurry form. And you see all these people dying mysteriously from these hangings, and some people don't believe it, some people do. Like the old ladies in the village believe it, and they're very superstitious. And what happens is the guy who runs the ferry, now he's confronted by the ghost, and the ghost, like I said, they blur him out. He's like very blurry looking, and he's played by the guy that was made famous, who was famous for playing Ming the Merciless in the old Flash Gordon movies. And like you see the hangman's noose all the time, and all of a sudden it was on this guy's neck, the ferryman's neck, and he throws it off, and all of a sudden it comes back on him, and then he gets killed. It gets caught on like a branch or something. It's very supernatural how the ghost works. A few after that happens, his granddaughter comes to take over his job as ferryman, and in walks Blake Edwards, the guy who plays Blake Edwards. Well, why screw that up? In walks this doctor's son, played by Blake Edwards, and the main reason this movie is famous is because it features the only screen appearance by Blake Edwards, who went on to become a very famous actor. A very famous director, directing all the Pink Panther movies, and like SOB and 10, and like The Men Who Loves Women, and stuff like those movies like that. And the only way you can break this curse is to sacrifice yourself, give yourself willingly to the ferryman for him to kill you. And that's the only way you can break the curse. And no one wants to do that. and I don't want to give anything else away. I'm not the kind of person who does spoilers for movies. I tell up to a certain amount, and I leave it go to see. If you want to see it, just check it out. You won't have to worry about the ending and stuff. I just want to give you the main plot and also tell you what I think about it. This is a very atmospheric, very cool movie. It's shot on a set, though. You know, but and there's no, the swamp is a set. And, you know, you saw the ferry, but there's so much, like, they use a lot of fog to blur out, to blur out where the water is. But it looks pretty good. It looks pretty decent. You know, it actually looks, it's a decent looking set, because I've seen some really bad sets, believe me, in these low budget ones. But no, it's actually a pretty good set, and it's a very atmospheric, very supernatural type of movie. It's very entertaining. I give it a 9.5 out of 10. It's awesome. So that's Strangler of the Swamp. See? And also, the other movie I'm gonna do a dual review. I'm also gonna review Bela Lugosi in The Bowery at Midnight. And basically what this is, it's no it doesn't have anything to do with the Bowery Boys. At least I thought it didn't. And there's a scene where there's a tailor played by the guy who owns Louis' sub shop in the Bowery Boys movie, played by Leo Gorcey's dad. He has a really small role, a comedic role in this. Just a very small role. That's the only link it has to the Bowery Boys movies, except for the title Bowery in it. One of these the Bowery is like kind of like Skid Row in New York, of course. And Bela Lugosi owns something called the Friendly Mission. And it's a mission where, like, the derelicts or bums go and they serve them like coffee and soup. But it turns out to be like a cover for a criminal operation. And the one thing with that is, he'd go in and he'd get like he'd have like one guy work for him, and they'd do all these crime capers, and then they have someone else come in, and then the other guy ends up getting killed because he did something. Just to give you an example, that one main criminal dressed up like a blind guy and was going to rob this place, and Bela Lugosi got one of his derelicts in there to come with him, and he told him, you can go up to the main floor, and he was right up there with him, and you can check out his getaway to make sure nothing happens. And to create a diversion, Bela Lugosi ended up throwing him off the building. He's such a bad guy in this one. It's just funny. And then of course the blind guy goes and robs the place where everyone was occupied, and he has like a big hideout in there. And there's a cemetery in the basement where there's a doctor who lives there, a mad scientist doctor who's a drug addict, and he also experiments in bringing the dead back to life. So there's a zombie angle in this too. And I don't want to give a whole lot else away. And also the Bela Lugosi character, by day he plays the professor, giving classes and stuff in this one college. I don't want to give a lot away. And there's more that happens in the movie. And both movies, Strangler of the Swamp and Bowery at Midnight, are only about an hour long. This is actually 58 minutes. And this is like an hour and 2 minutes of Bowery at Midnight. And they're both very entertaining. I give the Bowery at Midnight another 9.5 out of 10. It's awesome. Let me show you a couple pictures on the back before I end this review. I mean, if you like, and they're both black and white, this is a colorized picture right there. But if you like entertaining movies, I think you'll both. I think you'll if you like entertaining movies, I think you'll really enjoy both these movies. All right. Strangler of the Swamp and Bowery at Midnight. So until next time, hey, take care, my legion.